Hi friends, in today's session we are going to start with our new chapter, that is pumps. This is Faizan Kagdi and I welcome you all to our lecture series of Basic Mechanical Engineering. Okay, so let's begin with our topic. Now, the first question comes in our mind is that what is pump? So we will say that pump is a mechanical device which is going to convey liquid from one place to another place. Even we know that pump cannot do this task by itself. We need to supply mechanical power, which means pump is a power absorbing device. What else a pump can do? So we would say that it can lift water from underground surface and deliver it to terrace, right? Then after extracting a liquid from one place and will circulate that liquid, which means it can convey water or any liquid from one place to another place. Okay. Now we can also define pump as a hydraulic machine which converts mechanical energy into hydraulic energy. So basically, if we think about a conversion in energy, so we supply mechanical power to pump by means of electric motor. Okay. Then after that mechanical power is utilized by a pump to convert into pressure energy, which means pump is going to impart pressure energy on a liquid to extract that liquid, to suck that liquid and to deliver at a final destination. That is, for example, lifting from an underground surface and delivering to a terrace, right? So how it can do that task? So by imparting pressure energy. So you have to remember this thing, that is mechanical power is converted into pressure energy. Okay, let's proceed further. So now next we need to see terminology of pumps. Now first term is head. Head is even called as a height. Okay, so in pumps different forms of energy are expressed in terms of height, which is called head. Now with respect to pump, there are two types of height or head. So you would say first type is called suction height, that is suction head, and second is called a delivery head. Now what is suction head? So as the name itself suggests, that suction head means it is going to suck liquid from one source, and delivery head means it is going to deliver that liquid at a final destination. Okay, so let's see suction head. So it is a vertical distance from the sump level. Okay, that is sump level is called a underground surface to the center of a pump is called suction head. That vertical distance is called a suction head. We can even define it as a vertical height of a center line of a pump shaft above the surface of liquid, or it is the energy required to lift liquid from sump to pump. Sump means a place from where a liquid has to be sucked. Okay, next term is a delivery head. Again, similar to that, it is the height which a pump has to overcome in order to deliver a liquid from a pump to the delivery tank or to the final destination. So that height which a pump has to overcome is called a delivery height, and a corresponding energy which a pump has to apply to deliver that water from a pump to a delivery tank is called a delivery energy. Okay, so it can also be defined as a vertical height of the center line of a pump shaft to where the liquid is to be delivered, or it is the energy required to lift liquid from a pump to the end of a delivery pipe, that is to a final destination or a delivery tank. Okay, now let's see our next term with respect to that. That is a velocity head. So we can say that it is a kinetic energy carried away by the liquid at the end of a delivery pipe. Okay, now static head. So static head means a fixed head or a fixed height which a pump has to always overcome in order to deliver a liquid from a sump to a delivery tank. So it is a summation of suction head and delivery head. Whereas manometric head. Now what is manometric head? So we would say manometric head is again a height which a pump has to overcome. So what else it includes along with the suction head and delivery head? So we will say a frictional head loss that can take place within a suction pipe, within a delivery pipe, and within a cylinder of a pump. This all contributes to a manometric head. Okay. Now with respect to that, there is another term that is called a water power. So we would say that it is a power which is required by a pump in order to deliver a liquid from a sump to a delivery tank, which means it is a power, we can also say that it is a power which a pump requires to overcome the manometric head. Okay, that is all the heads which a pump has to overcome, which I have told, that is suction head, delivery head, frictional head loss in suction pipe, then frictional head loss in delivery pipe, frictional head loss in a pump, then velocity head. Okay, so this all heads a pump has to overcome, that is a total manometric head, for which a power required is called a water power. Now next term is a shaft power. So it is a power which is given to a shaft of a pump by means of an electric motor. So in general term we can say that shaft power is a power supplied by an electric motor to a pump, whereas a water power is a power required by a pump to lift the water. Remember that. So shaft power will always be greater than a water power. Okay. Now next term is efficiency of a pump. So with respect to that, we can say efficiency is called output upon input. So what is the output? So we would say water power is the output, and what is the input? So we would say shaft power is the input. So it is a ratio of water power to shaft power. Let's proceed further. Now the first type of pump which we have to see is a single acting reciprocating pump. Now let us understand construction of this pump. So as you can see, a piston cylinder arrangement is shown. Okay, piston is connected to a pump shaft by means of an intermediate mechanism. So for that there is a piston rod provided, okay, which is connected with the piston. There is a connecting rod which is going to connect piston rod with a pump shaft. Okay, and there is a crank which is connecting rod with a pump shaft. Okay, so as we know that a crank is going to perform a rotary motion, a connecting rod will be stretched by means of a crank, and connecting rod will perform an oscillatory motion in this way. Okay, and because of that a power will be transmitted to a piston. So piston is going to perform a linear motion, that is a reciprocating motion. Now seeing a bottom side, you can see a bucket is shown in which a water is filled. So that portion is called a sump, from where a water has to be lifted up. On a top side again there is a bucket which is shown. So let's say that it is a delivery tank where a water is to be delivered. Now there is a pipe which is inserted in a sump. So that pipe is called a suction pipe, and there is a pipe which is connected with a delivery tank. So that pipe is called a delivery pipe. Now on both the pipes there are valves provided. So on a suction pipe a valve is called a suction valve. Similarly on a delivery pipe there is a valve which is called a delivery valve. Both the valves are pressure differential valve. You will get to know what is pressure differential valve. Okay, so this is all about a construction of this pump. Remember that pump is a power absorbing device, which means during a working of a pump, first we are going to supply electricity to an electric motor. Motor is going to generate a mechanical power, simple, and that mechanical power will be given to a pump shaft, which means the shaft of a pump will rotate. As a pump shaft rotates, the crank will rotate, and finally that motion of a crank will be transmitted to a connecting rod. So a connecting rod will perform an oscillatory motion, and finally that motion will be given to a piston. So remember, over here rotary motion of a pump shaft will be converted into a linear motion of a piston. Okay, now let us understand how it's going to operate and how it's going to deliver water from a sump to a delivery tank. So this pump has two strokes. Remember, two strokes. First stroke name is a suction stroke. Second stroke name is a delivery stroke. So let us understand a suction stroke. Now, during a suction stroke, crank will be at a 0 degree position, which you can see on your screen. Okay, at that time piston will be at its, let's say, inner dead center. Okay, a dead end nearer to a pipe, and connecting rod will be totally horizontal. Now when a crank moves from a 0 degree to 180 degree position, which means from this position in this form to 180 degree position, at that time connecting rod will stretch a piston, and piston will move from its inner dead center to its outer dead center. At that time what is going to happen? So inside a cylinder vacuum will be created. Okay, because of a vacuum creation, that is zero pressure, suction valve will open, and as soon as the suction valve opens, due to pressure difference, water which is present in a sump will be lifted up and will enter into a cylinder till piston reaches its outer dead center position and crank reaches its 180 degree position. This is our suction stroke which has been completed. Okay, now what is going to happen in the next stroke? So next stroke is called a delivery stroke. In a delivery stroke, crank will move from 180 degree position to a 0 degree position. At that moment of time, we will say that we are going to push a piston, okay, that is from right side towards the left side. Now in that case, what is going to happen? So we would say that whatever liquid which has been sucked in a cylinder during a suction stroke will be pressurized because of a motion of a piston towards the left side. As the pressure is exerted by a piston, delivery valve will be opened, suction valve will be closed, and water will be directly delivered into a delivery tank through a pipe that is called a delivery pipe. So this is how water is delivered into a delivery pipe, a delivery tank. Okay, now why it is called a single acting? So the reason is that when a suction is taking place from 0 degree to 180 degree, there is no delivery of a water into a delivery tank. Very simple, right? That is, during a suction, no delivery is attempt. Only during a delivery stroke, that is from 180 to 0 degree, a delivery is obtained, and because of that it is called a single acting. That is, water is delivered only from one side of a piston, and that even in an alternate stroke. Okay, so remember this condition, that is, in a single acting, delivery will not be continuous. Okay, now let's see further. So as you can see, I have written that is forward stroke is our suction stroke, in which a crank rotates from 0 degree to 180 degree and piston moves towards the right side in a cylinder. Okay, this creates a vacuum in a cylinder on the left side of a piston, causing a suction valve to open. The liquid enters into a cylinder and fills it. Okay, next is a reverse stroke, that is our delivery stroke. Now crank rotates from 180 degree to 360 degree, that is original 0 degree position, and piston moves towards the left side in a cylinder. Okay, this causes increase of a pressure in the left side of a cylinder, and the delivery valve opens and liquid is forced to deliver into a delivery tank. Okay, now let us see further. Now the question comes that why we have to use this arrangement, that is air vessel, or we can even say air chamber. So as you can see, a air chamber is provided on a suction pipe as well as on a delivery pipe, right? Now the first question comes, why? So the reason is that by using a single acting arrangement, we were getting delivery only during a delivery stroke. That is, the discharge of water into a delivery tank is not continuous. We can say that when a crank moves from 0 degree to 180 degree, water is not delivered, only suction is taking place. So our mechanical power is wasted in just sucking a liquid during that duration, right? So can we do such an arrangement in which even during a suction stroke on left side of a piston, we can deliver water to a delivery tank? Yes. So how? So by making use of this air chamber. So let us understand that how it's gonna operate. Okay, so as the remaining construction is going to remain same, just an addition is that on a suction pipe, as you can see, air vessel is provided. Now on a top of an air vessel, there will be a compressed air present. Okay, in both the air vessels, one on a delivery side as well as on a suction side. Now let's directly start with how it's going to operate. So when a crank moves from 0 degree to 180 degree position, at that time water will be sucked on a left side because of a pressure difference. Suction valve will open and water will begin to enter into a cylinder due to pressure difference. Okay, now finally water will be completely filled in a cylinder when piston is at its ODC position, that is outermost position, and when crank is at 180 degree position. Now what is going to happen? Now when a crank begins to move from 180 position to 0 degree position and piston begins to move towards the left side, at that time suction valve will get closed and whatever liquid which is present in a suction pipe will directly enter into a air chamber. Okay, rather than going back into a sump. On the bottom side of a sump, we would have provided a footwall which is going to prevent that. Okay, so this is the first stroke in which water is filled in an air chamber. Okay, now when a crank moves from 180 to 0 degree position, water will be pushed, okay, and the delivery valve will be open. Now over here in this case, water will first enter into a air chamber. So half quantity of water which is sucked in a cylinder will first enter into a air chamber, remember that, and remaining half portion of a water will be delivered into a delivery tank. So we can say that during a delivery stroke, the water discharge is half quantity inside of air chamber remaining half inside a delivery tank. When this has happened, so when crank has moved from 180 degree position to 0 degree position. Okay. Now we can say that after completing one cycle, both the chambers are filled completely. Okay. Now in the next cycle, again a first stroke will be a suction stroke. So we can say that now when a crank going to move from 0 degree to 180 degree, water will directly enter from a air chamber. Okay, the suction valve will open and water begin to enters into a cylinder from a air chamber. So what has happened? So we can say the frictional head loss which could take place in a suction pipe has been reduced, since water has to resist only a certain amount of height. Okay. Similarly, at the same time, when a suction was taking place on a top side, we can say water is filled in an air chamber on a delivery pipe. So that water will begin to enter into a delivery tank. Why? Because of a pressure difference. Can I say that water is stored at certain height? So because of a height, there will be a pressure exerted on a water, that is called rho GH, right? So that because of that pressure, water will directly enter into a delivery tank. So we can say that during a suction stroke, even we have got delivery of a water from where? So from air chamber. Now let us see what happens in a second stroke. So when a crank begins to move from 180 to 0 degree, at that time water will be pushed by a piston. It will first enter into a air chamber, which is now empty because water has been delivered during a suction stroke. So it will be first filled and the remaining water will be discharged to a delivery tank. Okay, so we can say that continuous delivery of water is obtained even during a suction stroke, and during a delivery stroke we are already getting a delivery of a water. Okay, so this is how air chamber construction working is going to operate. So as you can see, I have written the main objective of air chamber in a single acting reciprocating pump is first to obtain a continuous supply of liquid at a uniform rate. Second, to run a pump at a high speed without cavitation, and third, to save a considerable amount of work in overcoming the frictional resistance in a suction pipe and in a delivery pipe. The top of a air chamber contains a compressed air which can contract and expand. So it will contract when a water is filled, and it will expand when water has to be moved into a delivery tank or into a cylinder from a suction side. Okay. During a delivery stroke, suction valve gets closed and flow from a suction pipe is taken into a air chamber fitted with a suction pipe where it is temporarily stored. Okay. Now further, similarly during the suction stroke, delivery valve is closed, but delivery of a liquid to a discharge tank is continuous by means of a liquid discharge from a air chamber fitted to a delivery pipe. Okay. Thus we can say the air vessel works as an intermediate reservoir, maintaining constant discharge by maintaining constant velocity of flow in a suction and a delivery pipe. Okay guys, so in today's session we are keeping up till here. In next session we will start further with our next topic of double acting reciprocating pump. Till then, stay tuned and thank you all.